Imagine this scenario. You're suffering from chronic night terrors that just won't go away, no matter what you try. What do? Well, it's simple really. You make video games about them where you get to shoot them into oblivion. And that's how Amon 26's beautifully disturbing worlds came to be. Worlds full of nightmarish creations that feed on human souls and crave nothing but destruction. Worlds full of decay, mystery, and various surreal imagery. But above all else, worlds where you get to shoot up shit with your heavy machine gun. Of course, there's nothing wrong with today's less interactive horror experiences, but it's always refreshing to play something that manages to be dark and have engaging gameplay. And while these games were created during the golden era of Newgrounds many years ago, fuck me I'm old, they're still amazing to this day. So sit back, relax, and prepare yourselves for a deep dive into the mesmerizing world of Amon 26. We begin our journey with All of Our Friends Are Dead. Man, what a fucking relatable title that is. It's a 2D pixel art run-and-gun platformer where you control Mewtwo with a Nerf gun that fires baseball bats at demons. But in all seriousness, despite it being Amon 26's first game, released all the way back in 2009, it's actually my favorite out of all of them, mainly because of its crude and unwelcoming nature. There is no story here, only a vague exploration of themes, ideas, and nightmares. The game starts with a little poem, then spits you into its world, and right off the bat you get immersed in its bleak atmosphere. The graphics are pixelated and minimalistic, while the color palette is very limited, with red, black, and white as its main colors. You could say it looks like a creepypasta game by today's standards, but I believe the aesthetics are much more realized, thanks to the game world's architecture. Even though there is extreme tile repetition, there are several monuments and unique structures that look pretty fucked up, letting you know that this world is beyond saving. And of course, the character designs are amazing as well. They are quite simple, but with enough detail to help you understand what they are supposed to look like. However, they are also abstract and twisted to the point where you can tell they are distorted versions of their original form. The concepts of chaos and horror are also enhanced by the phenomenal sound design, clearly Amon 26's strongest asset. Sound effects are very mechanical and digitized, almost like you're destroying machines, not biological creatures. Or maybe they're dial-up modems in disguise, I don't know. But the soundtrack is the true highlight here, with a mixture of incomprehensible screams, ambient sounds, mechanical noises, and pounding drums, making you feel that this world is broken beyond repair. All of Our Friends Are Dead has a very unique style and a beautiful horror aesthetic, but I found the gameplay to be severely lacking. Although the platforming and the shooting are very rudimentary, the controls are floaty and your movement is slippery as hell. It doesn't help that the game is a colossal dick to the player. Enemies shooting you off screen or appearing out of nowhere when you least expect it. Constant blind jumps that can lead to your death. And of course, you die in one hit with no checkpoints. What a lovely smorgasbord of bad game design decisions. But it was Amon 26's first game, which explains why it's a bit rough around the edges. Thankfully, your shots have unlimited range and you can quick save as well. There are also a lot of cool set pieces and moments that make the experience enjoyable, like fighting a huge monster that throws corpses at you, killing a giant fetus, and even sacrificing an innocent so you can progress further. The game even lambasts you about it, showing you her dead body and proclaiming she was a mother. So do I get any extra points for that or what? I mean, I did kill all of my friends, didn't I? Not really, there are plenty of NPCs that are still alive throughout this adventure. You lied to me, I will never forgive you. Anyway, All of Our Friends Are Dead is a lovely little horror platformer that does a great job immersing you into a dark and uninviting world where you have to escape with your life. Yeah, its gameplay isn't the greatest, but its atmosphere and aesthetics more than make up for it, and the overall experience will without a doubt pull you in. The journey continues with Ao Sable, also released in 2009. It's the spiritual successor to All of Our Friends Are Dead, both in style and mechanics. I mean, just look at it, it looks the same and it plays the same, with some minor adjustments and additions. The first one being the fact that we have a proper story now. You play as the titular Ao Sable, searching for your sister Harmonia, who has wandered into the Forbidden Woods. Unfortunately, a malevolent being is stalking them, corrupting everything it touches, including poor Harmonia, who killed her brother, making her mother kill herself. Pretty heavy stuff. Exploring the woods, you manage to defeat various evil entities and resurrect a trapped Hydra, who turns herself into a machine gun. Funniest shit I've ever seen. Eventually, you escape the cursed forest and face Harmonia, who is now a mere puppet of the evil being. And now you have a choice, with each leading to a different ending. You can destroy all the fallen angels surrounding the Unmaker, thus freeing Harmonia from its influence and unlocking the good ending, where the two sisters head home safe from harm. Alternatively, you can kill Harmonia herself, unlocking the bad ending, where you get to take her place as the Unmaker's puppet. Not a super intricate story, but it does a good job of building anticipation, while having small lore tidbits that enhance the game's world building. And it's a pretty fucked up world, no doubt about it. Once again, the colors are very dark and muted, and each level is full of barren trees, ruined structures, vaguely religious relics, and horribly disfigured creatures, giving us the impression that this place has completely succumbed to the Unmaker's influence, and is now a doomed hellscape. While the graphics have definitely improved, having a lot more detail and avoiding inorganic tile repetition, the sound effects are plain and the music is much more subdued compared to All of Our Friends Are Dead. Don't get me wrong, I love the soundtrack, it just wasn't as memorable. It still did a good job building atmosphere, and this time Amon 26 has also employed various scenes that act as hallucinations that are meant to make Ao Sable's lore more intriguing, while at the same time making the player feel uneasy. I loved those little moments, they were spooky and never overstayed their welcome, unlike the various poems scattered throughout the game. It's actually a recurring trope throughout all of Amon 26's games, and to be honest, I'm not a fan. I'm just not the reading type, I guess, plus it feels kind of forced and more like telling rather than showing from a narrative perspective. The worst example of this is the Masked Man, who gives you hints throughout the game, like open the door and watch out for enemies. Imagine playing a horror game and having Navi over here going, "Hey, listen, that monster 2 feet in front of you is gonna get you, watch out, it's gonna get you." Come on man, it's a horror game, don't go easy on me. At least the gameplay has been drastically improved compared to the previous game. Well, the controls and your movement are still the same, but the enemies are more varied and fairer, and there are no blind jumps or unfair situations anymore. It's a much more enjoyable and polished experience, until you pick up a gun. You don't have an aiming reticle anymore to simulate Ao Sable's inexperience with firearms. So instead, you must use your weapon's angle to determine where to shoot. It's kind of clunky and an absolute nightmare if you have a dual monitor setup, because your mouse cursor isn't locked. Yep, it's that kind of indie game. it didn't annoy me that much, and the reticle is still available as a cheat of sorts, but still it led to some frustration and lots of silly deaths. Thankfully, there are some minor puzzle elements and different gameplay sequences to break up the platforming run-and-gun action. So is Aosable a worthy sequel? It's a more polished experience with an interesting story and disturbing lore elements. The graphics are great, the soundtrack is fine, and the gameplay remains relatively unchanged. It feels like it lost some of the edge All of Our Friends Are Dead had to provide a more accommodating experience for the player. Still, it manages to stay just as creepy, which deserves some major props for sure. Finally, we have Geoside, the third entry in Amon26's 2D pixel art platformers, released in 2010. Everything has led up to this, and if you're into the indie game scene, you've heard of this one before, as it won some major accolades from Newgrounds, where it was first posted. And I can definitely see why. Everything has been dramatically improved, from the gameplay to the graphics and the story. Be warned though, things aren't as simple as they were in Aosable plot-wise. I'll try to explain as simply as possible. Also, spoilers ahead, I guess. In the game's universe, there are two gods, Oyetia and Geoside. Oyetia created humans as a gift, but Geoside didn't like how they neglected her planet, so she killed almost everyone in a catastrophic cataclysm. How Old Testament of her! Oyetia was pissed though, so he broke Geoside apart and buried her soul in the planet's core. As time passed though, that feel when no god GF got to him, so he beheaded himself to release his mortal form onto the planet. So now you play as Oyetia trying to find your lost love. Along your travels, you find the last bastion of humanity, fight godlike beasts, and face Geoside in a final fight. So that's the story, at least the gist of it. Of course, I could extrapolate all that info from the game's cutscenes and visual storytelling, right? No, not at all. I had no idea what the fuck was going on throughout the playthrough. There is plenty of dialogue and scenes vaguely explaining what the plot is about, but the more intricate lore and story elements flew way over my head. It didn't help that some of the more dramatic moments of the game weren't portrayed very well. At some point, you flip a switch and everyone is now dead for whatever reason. Yeah, that was Geoside, killing what was left of the human race. Pretty unceremonious, given the fact that the game made a whole fuss about me killing some random girl to progress further, as if I can still feel remorse or something. This is where the game's morality system comes into play, influencing the final boss fight and ending. You have two weapons you can use, a shield and a machine gun. If you kill any enemy using the machine gun, you unlock the bad ending, where you kill Geoside and are left all alone in the universe. If you don't kill anyone using the machine gun, you unlock the good ending, where you save the trapped goddess and live happily ever after. Well, sort of, everyone else is dead. When a game has a black and white morality system, I think that's pretty stupid. It doesn't help that this one hasn't been implemented very well. You can still kill enemies using your shield, but it's not always clear if there is an alternative method of killing an enemy, and the whole system is bugged and doesn't always work. Yeah, instead of using Game Maker like in the previous games, this one was made with an early build of stencil, and sometimes it shows. Movement, although improved, is still slippery. The jumping is incredibly floaty, collisions are kinda iffy, and you can only shoot left and right. However, there are proper checkpoints now, some puzzle solving, and more varied gameplay, using your shield to parry attacks and your gun to shoot enemies. The areas are also larger and more complex, requiring exploration to be able to move forward, and the enemies are much more forgiving, properly telegraphing their attacks. So the gameplay has been improved, at least in most areas. But of course, the star of the show is once again Geoside's presentation. Holy shit do I love this game's graphics. Everything looks so detailed and polished, it almost feels like a game made by a big team of professionals. Well, some scenes were like bad DeviantArt submissions, and the final boss is a big titty goth GF. But the world feels very desolate and disturbing. The characters look disfigured and everything is enveloped in darkness and vines. So many vines. Overall, a great horror atmosphere, enhanced by the equally spectacular soundtrack. The music is more intense than in the previous entries, but at the same time more intricate and well developed. It really helped immerse me in Geoside's dark world. If you have to play only one of Amon 26's games, play this one. Yeah, All of Our Friends Are Dead is my favorite because of how extreme it is, but Geoside is the perfect combination of incredible visuals, great audio design, and okay, sure, the gameplay is still lacking, but it's much better than in the previous games and does a decent enough job integrating itself into the narrative. All in all, an awesome horror experience even to this day. Amon 26 is a great artist and developer. Sure, her games aren't the most compelling gameplay-wise, but the excellent visuals combined with the disturbing soundtrack managed to create very interesting and mysterious worlds, filled to the brim with style and a foreboding atmosphere. Despite the oversaturation of the horror genre, I still find them to be unique and engaging experiences. So give Amon 26 some love and get yourself a deluxe edition of Geoside. It includes all the previous entries, a soundtrack, and some other neat little extras. And that's all I had to say about the stunning horror creations of Amon 26. Thank you very much for watching, I hope you enjoyed it. Leave a like if you did, comment your thoughts below, and subscribe for more stuff. You know how it goes. You can also join my Discord and follow me on Twitter. Have a great day, and until next time, take care and have fun.